Let's begin the fifth part of the series dedicated to the dimensional gates. You know that we were precisely dealing in the last conference about something that is completely related to these things, although at first some people may not identify it. That is the UFO matter. After seeing the UFO matter, we are going to continue looking at more of the UFO matter, and we are realizing how there is something that joins up certain factors from behind. We have seen many biblical texts that talk of how there is some kind of dimensional gate between heaven and earth, other conduits in which the devil and his angels move through, logically also God's angels, and we will see more biblical texts and more quotes of Ellen White talking about all of these things that have no waste at all. But today we are going to talk in this fifth part also about the UFO matter. Today we are not going to deal about the biblical texts and the quotes of Ellen White. We'll leave that for the next conference. But today we have quite a few images to show that I think it is worth for us to see, because also we have a personal testimony that links perfectly with all this matter that we are going to show. Let's go and see these images. Look at them well. Here you have the first one. This is extracted from a video. The video is quite long, so we have only captured some images of something that was happening in the sky in Mexico, and that was a strange cloud or a strange kind of hole in the middle of a cloud. In the images, if we pass on to the next one, you can see that this is from February of 2010. Here, I zoom, you can see as if there is a cloud absorbed in the middle of this hole, and if you see here in this closer image, you can see this circle and how it seems to absorb. And here another close-up of that hole. Well, the video is practically like this. It's quite long, but these four captures were worth to see, and there are things that are not easy to explain. We've talked about these gates that seem as if they open, and I don't know if this is a dimensional gate or not. I do not know. Or is it an effect of waves like HAARP or something like that? But the thing is that when we see a circular thing in the sky like this, it surprises you, especially when we are talking about all of this. But now we are going to see also how Hollywood, this same week, has also shown a movie that has arrived here in Spain, which is this one, Men in Black 3. As you know, it's all about Martians and extraterrestrials, that they come and go and do this and that. A very comical movie. But the curious thing, well, here you can see the agents J and K go back in time. In his 15 years of service, the agent J has seen many inexplicable things, but nothing, not even the aliens, puzzles him as much as his ironic and uncommunicative partner, Agent K. When the destiny of the planet and the life of Agent K are put into danger, Agent J will have to travel back in time to redirect things. And how is this done, all of this traveling back in time? Well, for them also through dimensional gates. Here you have one of the scenes that appear in the movie, but also, look, we will pass on three sequences that practically belong to the same scene of the movie that we have condensed in three images. And the words that they are saying in those moments, the main characters of the movie. Now, before this image, they say, "We are running out of time. We are running out of clues." And you see what kind of image also? And an invasion is coming. And a dimensional hole is opened through which, vroom, they are absorbed. And ta-da! The aliens come. I don't know if you realize that what is being said in the movie. We are running out of time, we are running out of clues, and an invasion is coming. Are they preparing us for something? Or is it simply that the script in the movie is more entertaining to be it this way? We have already seen how 3 spirits of demons, like frogs, will make their appearance, says the biblical text. One day we were talking about it, to deceive the kings of the earth and take them to battle, to Armageddon. 3 spirits like frogs. We can see the parallelism with how they picture the aliens, with those reptile forms. Well, it has drawn my attention that precisely when we are dealing with this matter, Satan through Hollywood is throwing messages with his movies. Well, you can see practically one after the other. First the Avengers, now this one. He's done it before in other movies that we've seen. It seems as if he is leaving messages because also Satan's angels are in action. But God does not want to leave us blind. He wants to do the counter-replica so that people can react. And talking about technology, about science, remember how Nikola Tesla had made those plans of the UFOs, of how they could work and how they lifted up from the ground. Well, look at this news. Volkswagen's flying car. This that looks like something strange, a spherical thing with 2 occupants, does not touch the ground. The prototype moves various centimeters from the floor and has the shape of a capsule. Here is an image from the side. The flying car may be one of the most important things the future owes us. We've dreamed of putting wings on a car or giving it some other form of flight capability for years. And while in some cases we're already very close to it, Volkswagen's recent concept looks much closer to what we've imagined through science fiction. This concept was born from a competition held in China, and although the design presents significant challenges, why not? This that seems things from the future. Remember the movie of Star Wars? They have a car that looks nearly like a Zodiac, a boat more than a car, and it's floating, right? It's science fiction. Well, this is already being achieved. But as you can see, it is possible not to touch the floor. Remember that there are also trains that are traveling at very fast speeds, and they do not touch the rails. Well, there is certain technology, and a lot more that we've seen, that's what they are showing us. But these things are already existing. So, therefore, let's take a look at this video about this flying car.
你好，大众自招用户怪盗 Duck 520，没错，说的就是你，王佳。我是乐嘉，我在成都，现在就在你的家乡。你是不是记得在几个月以前，你曾经向大众汽车公司的大众自造网站提交过一份特别的创意？你的梦想实现了，这辆无轮车就在我的身边，看到没有？它真的是没有轮子。那么到底这个车能不能开呢？现在我必须先向大家介绍2位特别的嘉宾，他们就是王佳的爸爸和王佳的妈妈。
那这车咋不得轮子呢？
还真没见过这样的车，
想不想体验一下？
可以可以。
我们来看一下。
他一直从小就是一个很有想法的孩子，总是有奇怪的点子冒出来。
王家从小就与人不同，我们也一直很相信他的才华。
现在，启动。真的起来了，上面感觉怎么样？
太神奇了！
实在是太不可思议了，这个车居然可以悬浮起来！我相信大家和我一样，一定很想知道当中的秘密。但是现在，我们先来聊聊关于成都的这个城市。当你想起成都的时候，你的第一印象首先想到的是什么？大熊猫、变脸、 功夫茶表演。其实除此之外，成都的地质非常的特别，在这块广袤无边的盆地上面蕴藏着无数的矿产资源。磁悬球形车，简称悬浮车，它的设计运用了非常超前的尖端科技，巧妙地将地下的矿产资源转化为它的能量，从而驱动汽车行驶。
慢点儿，慢点儿，慢点儿，前面危险，慢点儿。
从来没见过这样的汽车，就好像是在电影里头看到的一样。
悬浮车有一个功能是自动驾驶，声控系统能识别人声并开启自动导航。
导航回家。
悬浮车还有一项特别的功能，就是它的安全感应器。它能根据自身行驶速度和周围车辆的距离，计算出最安全的行驶距离。可能发生危险时，汽车就会自动刹车。
咋个的嘛你？
我真的为我们孩子感到自豪，他确实有些与众不同。
玩家，没错，说的就是你。
The article, after what we've seen, says to us, Volkswagen asked contest participants to present their ideas for a car for the people. Considering the level of population in China, it's a particularly appealing idea, and it was a game design and animation student who won the contest. Her car for the people is unlike anything we can see on the streets today. In fact, the design is more related to the ships of the Jetsons and other science fiction series of yesteryear. And although it cannot gain height, the fact that it moves several centimeters above the ground makes it qualify as a flying car without much doubt. Well, we've seen the video, right? It floats some centimeters from the ground, but it doesn't get to fly, meters from the ground. Not yet. Capsule format. The most obvious details show that the car has a capacity for 2 people, simple controls, a digital HUD on the front window and an anti-collision system for greater safety. Its propulsion floating method makes us think of some kind of miniaturized maglev, because imagining a proper anti-gravitational system is still far out of reach. Yes, is it really out of our reach, this anti-gravitational system? Well, it seems that Nikola Tesla was very clear about how this was being able to do, and we saw how it was done. The capsule format is what raises the most questions. Such a design would be limited to low speed for stability reasons, and beyond the theoretical anti-collision system, would probably require slightly more elaborate driver and passenger protection. Well, of course, you know that a car can brake, and the wheels are the ones that brake the car by friction, basically, but not here. The possibility that we may be looking at the ancestor of the 21st century Ford T cannot be dismissed lightly. And now we are going to see a testimony written from Mexico. It is a person that I appreciate very much, and that in contact with him, seeing all of this matters of dimensional gates, well, simply he decided to open himself and explain his own experience. Do you remember that I told you about something, about a certain man that found certain thing in Mexico, round-shaped? Yes? Well, today we're going to say many things in his own words. It's a conversation that we had, as you can see through email, and practically it is complete. See that he was commenting that today I will scan photos and send them to you. I have the exact photos of the place. Of what place? Well, inside my reverie, I began to see the second part of the last conference, the one of dimensional gates, he explains to me. They will say that I am crazy or that I am already hallucinating, but on one occasion, walking through the mountains far from Sabuayo, I found myself in front of a dimensional gate, between quotation marks. It was on the floor in the shape of a perfect circle, made of quarry, a stone that is not found in that place. It was in the shade of a tree. I went over to cool off a bit, saw the quarry circle, stood on it, and then tried to dig down. I clarify that said quarry roundel was more or less a meter in diameter. I was digging when, with the wooden awl I was using, I felt that it was poking into something metallic. Something happened. Suddenly everything was erased from my mind. My hard drive was erased, and I began to walk towards the path that led back to my house. The next day, I went with two friends to look for that object similar to a small fountain, but we never found it, despite the fact that we combed practically the entire mountain. Later I returned alone, and nothing. I did not see that object again. A few days later, from the university where I was teaching, I saw a light coming down from the sky and hiding precisely where the object I mentioned earlier was located. It was 5 kilometers from where I was seeing it. For that reason, and for others that I do not mention, I never went back to practicing the camping and hiking that I love so much. Now I walk in a park near my house. I clarify that the time I saw that luminous object was around 10 in the morning, that is, very early. I have seen many other things. Once, coming back from Guadalajara, that is Mexico, not in Spain, I saw a flying mother saucer. Smaller objects entered and exited it. Remember the video that we passed on the last conference? Well, something similar. I was coming with a friend very happily. Suddenly said object was in Ocotlan, that is 10 kilometers across the Chaola Lagoon, moved at an unprecedented speed and settled behind a tree about 20 meters from us. Our hair stood up. I called on the Lord, and we passed under said object. The story is long, but I know that if I tell all of it, I will be labeled as hallucinated. I clarify that I have never consumed that miraculous plant that they bring us from Colombia. No way. Well, he's got a fine sense of humor, I warn you. Now I know many things, that we are not here by chance. We have a mission. Well then, let's get to it. Maranatha. He's Adventist. That is why he says goodbye with Maranatha, the Lord comes. The expression that the disciples used as well. Further on in these conversations, he continues saying, I was asking him things and he answers. This object was not put recently because only the pumas and the donkeys as myself adventure into those places. Believe me, that object is not recent. He was talking about the object on the floor, okay? It did not have much rubbish, but obviously neither was it squeaky clean. It was like having a piece of furniture in a semi-desert or wild field. I cannot adventure again looking for the object because, I repeat, it is a place that is extremely dangerous. Whoever takes a peek at those places does not come back alive. I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating. See, drug trafficking and other things they have around there. The violence in Mexico is truly impressive. I repeat, I only know that place. No one before had ever been there. The path is very thorny, hard, stony, but that was precisely what I liked about it. Let's see if I have photos and I'll send them to you. Well, you can see this is a conversation as we can have normally, each one of us. Let me clear out that the photos that I will send you later correspond to the next day in which I found the object in comment. You'll be surprised, I assure you. Remember that photo taken in September? I'll send you photos of the mountain later. What photos were these that he had shown me in September, that he had commented? This. Something strange that was seen in the sky. As you can see, What division in the sky, and with what colors? Here is another one. He sent two. That happened in the area where he was talking about. These photos were taken at the same area of the fountain. I know many things and have seen more, but I do not trust in this mean. Well, you know, right? In any case, today I will send you photos. I have many things that I found there. Bone objects, pre-Columbine figures, many things that would paralyze you. I ask him if I can show them evidently, and he answers, show them, no problem. He told me also that even his wife carries a necklace that she found in those areas. A necklace made of materials that he found around there. And that there are more things in that place. I don't know if we've included the piece where precisely he explains how this circle is, of which color. I think it doesn't appear here. Maybe I forgot it. Here are some photos of the place and the gentleman we're talking about. He went quite prepared to go to these places. He likes walking through these areas a lot. Here you have more photos of the place. As you can see, it's mostly low bushes. A place that you can see here clearly. He's not a soldier, he's not military or anything like it, but he was equipped like this to be able to walk kilometers through these places. Well, in these places is where he saw what he saw. No, he's not Rambo, hey? And here he starts to tell, 4 years ago, I was walking through the bush near my house, approximately 5 kilometers away. I was not accustomed to following the path, but rather, as the beloved Catalan says, the path is made by walking. Well, he's referring to Joan Manuel Serrat. That is, I was walking through the hill. It was very hot and I had a migraine attack and sat under a small tree and took the usual medicine for said ailment. Right there I discarded the medicine box and the now empty water bottle. Now, how could you leave these things in mid of the countryside? I discarded the medicine box and the now empty water bottle. I kept walking a bit, maybe 10 or 15 more minutes, when I saw a more or less big tree that offered me its cool shade. I approached and put myself under the tree. Suddenly, at my feet, I saw a kind of fountain made of quarry with a diameter of approximately 1 meter, adding that the parts that made up said drinking fountain were exactly the same size. Said circle rose approximately 20 centimeters from the ground, so I climbed on it, then jumped to the bottom of it, that is 20 centimeters, and began to dig when suddenly I felt that I had touched something metallic. I paused and stopped digging, but suddenly I don't know what's happened to me. Everything was erased from my mind. I didn't take photos or coordinates of the place despite the fact that I had the 8-megapixel camera on my cell phone. Well, I said. The cassette was erased and mechanically I went back to my house. When I returned home, I said to myself, what am I doing here? Why am I not there on the hill? The next day, I went back accompanied by my son-in-law and my son. By then, we had taken more equipment, but although we swept the area tree by tree, stone by stone, we did not find said circle. I repeat that the pieces of quarry that formed said object were found perfectly cut as if they were butter. They had no trace of human tools, meaning they had no marks of a chisel and hammer, mechanic saw, or anything like that. I'll clear out that casually I found the box of medicine and the bottle of water that I had used days before, which made me happy because that made me think I was near the object, but nothing. We never found it. And I suppose he did some recycling. So, you can see, at one moment he is there, he hits a few times, and boom, what he was doing leaves his mind completely, and he feels that he has to go back to his house. And when he arrives there, he says, what am I doing here? And I haven't even thought of taking pictures. Later I'll refer something that he told me on the phone. Another detail of this. I have gone back many times to that place, but I have never seen that thing, except that, as I told you, a few days after said event, I saw a light descending from the sky and settle on that place. I saw that exiting the university where I was giving classes about 5 kilometers from the referred place. I'm not saying it settled on that spring exactly, since I was far away the distance I mentioned, but it did settle on the same hill and approximately, according to my calculations, on the trees where the small spring was found. Spring in quotation marks. I'll also clear out again that the spring was of pink quarry stone, a construction material that is not used in Saguayo and does not exist over here, and much less on that stony hill. Well, that is not from that place, as you can see, that type of stone. How did the heavy quarry stone get to that place? He asks himself. Who cut the stone so finely? What was under said spring? Why did I get stunned and stop digging? How come I did not think of taking coordinates or photos? All these questions have no answer. I have been as brief as possible, and I appreciate that. But anyway, he has been quite precise. It does not finish all here, but notice what relation there is between a circular object on the floor and the appearance of a phenomenon of things that are seen in the sky, like we saw earlier on the images, a strange colored sky and vertically split, and also objects appearing, right? Let me clarify that this drinking fountain or object was made of approximately 12 stones perfectly adhered to one another, broken into equal pieces and with no trace of a common tool. Everything around was clean. There were no leaves or garbage from the fields or anything like that. And I asked him, well, that must have been there for many years. Were there plants or bushes that have grown on top of it or anything? And he went on answering these things. I know I can go back to that place, where thugs go to plan their goods, and I'd rather stay in doubt than dawn cremated or who knows where. It's a paradise that has turned dangerous. I love that place, but going back to it, no way. The thickness of each stone was about 25 or 30 centimeters. When I hit the bottom with the aforementioned punch, I did not see anything. Only because of the noise when digging, I heard that there was something metallic at the bottom. I don't know what that was. I know of many quarry springs, but none as well broken or elaborated as the one I have been referring to. Also, take into account that this fountain was in a place where even horses have no access. I do, because I'm a bit of an idiot and I like adventures. Well, I liked them. Now, the joints that the quarry pieces had no cement or any known adhesive, but they were perfectly attached to each other. And he carries on with more stories. Approximately 15 years ago, I bought a new car, a Nissan, and to release it, I invited a friend to go to Guadalajara for lunch, which he accepted without much ado. Back in Saguayo, around 7 in the evening, we were traveling through Tizapan, a riverside city of Lake Chapana. On the opposite side of the water mirror, we could see Ocotlan, when suddenly in the distance I saw a big plane. I thought so. So I said to my friend, "Look, what a beautiful plane." But suddenly the plane stopped and reversed, to which I told him, "Planes don't have reverse, that's something else." We continued seeing it for more than half an hour, and we noticed that some minor lights entered and left said ship. This caused us a lot of fun. When we were not very amused was when suddenly said large object headed towards us at a speed that I cannot explain. That is to say, at the speed of thousands of kilometers per minute. Well, it's landed about 100 meters from us, precisely behind the large tree through which we had to pass, and we passed under said tree, where that object was located that emitted a great violet light. Our hair stood up. Who was driving my car said that he wanted to stop to contact them, talking about the person that was with him. But I told him no, it was dangerous, while in my inside I invoked the name of Jehovah. He knew that something strange was there. The object moved away once more towards Ocotlan, and we were seeing it that way for almost an hour. When we got to Saguayo, both this person and I felt something very strange, especially on the skin that covers our arms, as if we had been burned or applied a high voltage of electricity. Interesting, right? See what this implies? We went through a town to have a drink and we told the owner of the soda fountain what we were seeing along the way, to which he said, "Ah, it's the witch. We see her every day, don't worry." So that the locals know this luminous object as the witch and they see it daily without any resentment. Oh, just an everyday event. I discussed all of the above with an Adventist canvasser friend. You know, before in the previous conference I mentioned that an Adventist canvasser is the person that sells books of the Adventist Church that can work on this all day or partially to expand the gospel. And this friend says that he told him that this was not true, that it was my imagination, to which I proceeded to invite him to Guadalajara a month later, and on his return the same scene was repeated, to which that he madly reacted, laughing like crazy, but without giving any explanation. I shut his mouth, showing him that what I had seen with my friend was and is true. There you go. I have spoken with a man from Ocotlan who contacted this object. It is very interesting. The downside of this is that due to said contact, said subject became ill with vitiligo. That is, his skin is totally stained. He says it's because of the fright he had. And on the other hand, said friend totally lost faith in everything that smells of religion. He doesn't believe in anything, although he is very respectful and speaks little about religion. He shows a slight disgust when someone wants to bring him up the subject. I interviewed him for almost an hour in his small shop where he sells men's shirts. The interview was a cake because he took photos with his rudimentary camera and showed me the originals. Again, my hair stood up. Well, of course, it reminded him of what he had seen, right? Well, you can see that this man he's talking about here, it has stains on his skin. Later, we are going to see 2 videos of interviews that were made to this man. These were not done to this man that is written, but some correspondents that you will see who they are. I have continued to see that object since then. I see it frequently cross the city of Saguayo like it owned the place, but nobody cares about it. A few weeks ago I saw it being in a shopping center. I looked up and a short distance away I saw said object and scared. I said to a passerby, "Look, a UFO." To which he gave me a threatening look as if saying, "Let me have fun in peace, it's my day off." Well, I've seen 1,000 other things that would require more space. For the record, I have been as brief as I could. Maranatha, he is coming soon. Well, do you realize how he's perceiving that this man, when he's been in contact with these UFOs, he stops believing in things referring to God. It causes rejection, every religious matter. Why is this? He feels that when he goes through that experience, he has a bad feeling about it. That is why he's invoking the name of God. I couldn't describe that object because it emits such an intense light, violet color, that it is not possible to see it. I asked him for more details. However, the photos that my friend from Ocotlan showed me show that the object in question is very large, round, and has some kind of windows, several, through which in turn it emits a light of great intensity. If you like, I can get photos of the photos. I'll take them next week and send them by this means. You know that I keep what I promise. Oh, okay, you keep what you promise. Here it is so common to see those lights that people don't even stop to see them anymore. It's a common thing. This is Mexico. And here he passes on to me the link, not one, but two, and he says, he is the person I am talking about. He's my personal friend and he's a great guy. It's on YouTube, a video of the interview. And I annex another video a little longer. Hope it's useful. Well, of course it will. Thank you. Let me clarify that in particular I have never seen beings inside those gadgets as you call them. Well, I told him that if he had seen beings inside of them. What I do want to insist on is that once you see them, especially up close, you are left with intense pain on your skin. Your hair stands on end. Even your clothes feel like they stand on end. I insist, the skin of the whole body hurts a lot. Even your nails hurt, and I'm not exaggerating. What a strange thing, right? By electricity, by whatever means. The mount of the Chiquihuitillo, which means basket in Nahuatl, is not a pyramid because it is very large. I said to him, where those ships seem that they come out of, I saw the hill and I thought it had like a pyramid shape in the middle of something that seems much flatter. And it seems as if with the passing of time it has been covered with earth, like some of the pyramids that have been found that we've also shown in previous conferences. And he says to me that no, it's not a pyramid because it is very big, it's a very big mountain. In addition, the UFO does not emerge from the hill, but from the Chapala Lagoon, a large mirror of water, one of the largest in the world. From there it comes out, it emerges. The place where the UFO is seen is in the deepest trench of the lake, and no one has done explorations in this regard. Because I asked him, no one has gone there to take a look? In addition to the fact that the waters are highly contaminated by the flow of several contributing rivers. But a clarification, it is not a UFO, but many, since in that place several have been seen at the same time, even in the city of Guadalajara. There are many people who want to contact UFOs, but do not know what they are saying. It is not a pleasant experience, especially when it comes to physical and spiritual health. Physical and spiritual, hey? There is not a lot to say about it. I could go on, but it will be better personally one day. Well, yes, I hope to have that interview one day. You have no idea how much. He is someone I appreciate very much. People who have seen UFOs, like Don, the person that you're going to see later on the video, or claim to have been contacted, first suffer from mental illness, delusions, paranoia, etc. They stop being normal people. The above in addition to the physical problems that drag, vitiligo, deafness, palpitations, high blood pressure and many etc. I remember the first UFO I saw in Sabuayo. I saw it about 4 kilometers away. It was about 11 in the morning. I lasted the whole day with tremors, skin pain all over my body, and with a strange and ugly sensation that I cannot describe. In the spiritual field, they simply stop believing in a personal God to give rise to ufology as the cause of everything caused. Needless to say about the figure of Christ. It is what they least believe, because they say that he was a being from another planet who came to start the age of Aquarius, and that once that was done, he returns to the planet that many call in different ways. The most common is Urantia. By the way, a theme that he gave rise to a book that I acquired but which I have not read due to lack of interest, at least for the moment. I saw that book, I was taking a look at it, and truly it is, well, anyway, without comments. But there are people that are swallowing that as a truth. That's why I told you that when I touched on the spiritual topic with Don, he became grim, with an angry face and didn't say anything. Simply, with his gesture, he manifested his desire not to bring up the subject because it seemed unpleasant to him. That's what it seemed to me. That's the reaction. In half an hour, I'm leaving for La Palma to see if the mist has passed and I can take photos. I'll send them to you today. Yesterday, I went to the house of X, my former student, and what he saw was tremendous, but I didn't ask him to write his testimony. Now, what he's talking about here, you'll see it now. The wife of this person was not even surprised because she said that she had seen it several times, which is no longer news to her. The what? Well, it's not here. Well, I don't know why, but we must have missed it. Well, he explains that as he had seen the conferences of the dimensional gates and the UFO matter, and he had seen and lived these experiences, well, with this former student, he went to his workshop and they were talking about these things, about the dimensional gates and UFOs, etc. And the other one, more or less, sells that, well, he told him that, well, go away, I don't want to know anything about this. He was a bit off. And curiously, he writes to me and tells me that precisely this person had called him, telling him that at his home the UFO had been there. What a coincidence. Precisely, he denies it and he gets a bit, contrary. He rejects it, and on the next day, or that same night, the UFO appears there. Of course, he contacted him very soon. I said to him, well, God has allowed this because now he is not going to doubt your words. Therefore, it is the best moment for him to know the truth of the gospel. God sometimes puts us in situations that we do not expect, and thanks to having spoken things beforehand, now we have a good situation so that these people can accept God. But you can see that automatically what happens with the appearances of the Virgin Mary. If those people do not know that it is a satanic phenomenon in truth, those people are going to believe forever in that. Forget about giving them the gospel because they are going to ignore you completely. They are not going to pay attention to you because they've seen what they think they have seen. You know, this is the reaction of his wife. I don't know what relation they have in the marriage because he had not seen anything of this, but his wife was not even surprised because she had seen it several times. She may not have mentioned it to him. I want to refer you also that when I was talking with this man on the phone, he also told me that, I told him, and what were you doing on the way when you were coming back from what you had seen on the floor that you had digged, and you came back leaving everything? He said that on the way I was shouting, saying, Elijah, Elijah, until he arrived home. That was his reaction. I suppose, I don't know if it was a conscious matter or an unconscious, but automatically there's a relation with, remember what happened to Elijah. He was taken to heaven. How? We've seen it in these conferences, right? In a chariot of fire that takes him like a whirlwind upwards to heaven. And he was perceiving in some way, for whatever reason, that had a relation with something like that. He was shouting, Elijah, Elijah. What things, right? What a mental situation in those moments. But we must realize how truly there is something in the person that automatically relates concepts. Now, what we are going to see are precisely the two videos of this man that saw that UFO, not the one that's in contact with me, but his friend, and you'll see that one is longer than the other, but you'll see also the photographs of that object. Let's enter the video right now. Ocotlán, Jalisco has become a very important area for the industrial sector. Year by year, Ocotlán attracts thousands of tourists, but it's the Chiquihuitillo Hill, the one that has brought the attention of beings that exceed the terrestrial borders. When talking about Ocotlán and UFOs, it is inevitable to mention Mr. Raúl Domínguez López, businessman, husband and father, that one day had an experience with one of these objects. At the beginning of the 90s, precisely in this place, many people began to see lights and strange objects in the sky. This reached the ears of Mr. Raúl. And a man came that I knew that was from here, from St. Peter, and he was a fisherman, and I asked, well, the blue whiting gives you a lot of trouble for fishing, and he answers, no. In the place where the saucer comes out, there's hardly any blue whiting. What? I said. Where the flying saucer enters and comes out? Yes, it comes in and out of the water, and it comes out now at dawn, just when the sun comes out. He says it comes out, and it goes between the big hill and the Chiquihuitillo. So, Mr. Raúl came in the morning with the firm intention of capturing said objects. He did not come every day, but his excursions lasted for many weeks, until one day he was lucky enough to take the picture that would go around the world. I went with a dog, a German Shepherd that they have given me. It stuck down to the ground, and that was when the flying saucer appeared. It came out suddenly. Then I wanted to focus on it, but it wouldn't fit. So I waited for it to go further away. So then I grabbed the camera and wanted to take a picture, so I waited until it could fit and took the first picture. I saw that the motor made a sound brrr, so yes, it had worked. But what does the people of Okotlan think of the matter? Let's see what our team of reporters have prepared. Do you believe in UFOs? No. No. Why? Why? Because I have never seen them. Yes, because I know that not only us are living beings. Definitely the topic is controversial, and we all have our own opinion. But one thing is sure, the UFO phenomenon is part of the culture of Okotlan. It surrounds us, it amazes us, and who knows, it even watches us. Possibly further on there may be an approach. Here in Okotlan it is not new, this phenomenon. For what I have investigated, it has been seen around here since the 50s. There are people here that have very good memories, experiences of this phenomenon. I believe it. Well, so you've seen this man, that you noticed he is stained on his skin, and, well, he's not the only one that has seen what he has seen. He describes a certain situation, and you'll see in the second video, you'll see he gives more explanations, and his experience with his dog. I want to comment to you also that the conversation that I maintained with the man that has given us this information, he told me that the pink stones that made that circle on the ground, he said that they came from another faraway place. On telephone, he was telling me that these stones are found naturally about 300 or 400 kilometers away from that place, and that the people of his population bring them to embellish their houses, I imagine their facades, with that pink tone. I do not know how old that could be. As you can see, he gives explanations that it seems that, well, it had been there for quite a while. Remember that in the conferences about the antediluvians, we were showing objects that had been found and also stones. And we have a documentary that we are working on, translating it to Spanish, since it is in Catalan, about archaeology from Peru that is impressive, that in the end truly corroborates what we were presenting, although for them from a different perspective, of course, right? But for those of us that know what we know, it only makes everything fit in much better. And in these kinds of documentaries, it is also talked about that there are objects that appear of constructions or stones that appear in faraway places that seem as if they were not from there, but very, very far away places. So, well, and we are talking about things from the antediluvians. Did the antediluvians have these kind of things done? We are seeing that in these things there is a direct relation with Satan. And that Satan, we had already seen that through his fallen angels, he supplies knowledge so that mankind can do certain things, as we saw with Nikola Tesla. So we must ask ourselves, maybe this was already antediluvian? They already used things like this? Did they have this technology? Because Satan had also transmitted them this knowledge? Well, Satan has moved in some way from heaven to earth with his angels, and he had passed by other worlds. Did he just do it flapping his wings? Are we realizing that there is more transcendence and amplitude in this than what we had imagined? Certainly they are described with wings, and that is how they move. But also, we are noticing how they use objects for other things for longer distances coming from a certain place of commandment, as could be Satan's. On the next conference, we will see also quotes of Ellen White and biblical text that can only confirm these things, and that have also been unnoticed by us. Thank God that now we are realizing all of this, because it is the moment, because we must discern what Satan is doing to captivate the world and prepare it, as it was said in the movie of Men in Black 3. There is not much time, and something is going to happen. An alien invasion? What is going to happen so that the mentality of the world population changes and everyone stops to be an atheist, to believe in something, and on top of that submit to the devilish forces and the papacy in such a clear way? Well, so we'll have to see that in the next conference. But now we are going to put on the second video about this UFO in Ocotlan. It is an alien ship coming back to Earth many years later. The 24th of April of 1993, Raúl Domínguez photographed an object in Ocotlan, Jalisco. It seems that the same object was filmed 15 years later in Alvin, Texas by Mauricio Ruiz. Here we present you this extraordinary story. You are the judge. Compare both objects, both ships. Is it about the same thing? Has it come back to visit us once again? Here's the story with Carlos Clemente. Now we find ourselves at the place where Raúl Domínguez, in the year of 1993, was able to obtain the best photographs of an unidentified flying object here in Ocotlan, in the hill of the Chiquihuitillo. Now we will go deeper in the case of Ocotlan, the place where it seems the activity of these objects was centered, where Raúl Domínguez had the opportunity to find what he was looking for. He had a close encounter with the UFO of Ocotlan that morning of the 24th of April of 1993. Yes, I brought the dog, the German Shepherd, and he started playing by that side, but then he went away and he started to bark. The animal was alarmed. So I started to move around to find what he was seeing, and I was waiting to see a horse, a cow, or a person. And suddenly the attitude of the animal changed, and he came and stuck by me, looking for shelter and scared. So I didn't see anything, so I thought, what has happened with this animal? So I pushed him away with my foot, and he came back to me once again, and I pushed him away again, and the second time I pushed him, it appeared over on that side, the ship. It came over here, and it passed low, very low. It followed me to here, and then it turned to the east. And because of the impression, I thought that I was going to fall down. It passed about 15 or 18 meters high, very low, and it covered nearly completely the whole horizon. The hill is very big, and I only saw the part underneath of it. And this part was spinning. It spins very slowly, and I didn't perceive any noise until it was completely on top of me. And then the branches of the trees were pulled upwards, and also my clothes and my hair, and also the dog's hair on his back stood up. And then when it passed, all of these leaves were pulled up as if taken by it. And then I reacted and grabbed quickly my bag and pulled out the camera. I got out the camera and ran towards there, because the trees here at the front were bothering me to be able to start to photograph. I lifted the camera and started to focus, and I had to wait until it fit into the lens. Since it was so big, it didn't fit, and as soon as it could fit in the image, I started to shoot. And I finished the whole camera roll. Once the camera roll was finished, it stopped in the air, it was suspended, and turned on the lights. And I had finished the roll, so I went back to where I had the bag and pulled out the other roll. First, I opened the camera, but then I reacted and put the camera roll back. I opened the camera, and in that moment the roll fell to the floor. Quickly, I grabbed the other one and put it in the camera. It was such the nervousness that I could not put in properly the film. I sat down, and with both hands I could put it in, and as soon as it turned, I closed the camera, and I went back again, and there it was still. I think the sighting lasted around 8 minutes in total. So I had enough time to take another 6 photographs where it was perfectly illuminated, which are the most spectacular photographs, because when it came and passed by here, it was all very dark, and it was only opening the part underneath. And inside you could see a bit of clarity. The impression is something, a curiosity, the nervousness. I never thought that the photographs were going to come out so clear. I thought it was going to come out, you know, all blurry, too unfocused, because of the haste, the hurry, and the nerves. That is the experience. The pictures taken by Raúl Domínguez are extraordinary. In these we can see an object in the shape of a hat. In the closest ones it can be seen underneath. While the object moved away, the angle changed, and the images now show the UFO horizontally that correspond to the moment when he changed the camera film. The object had already turned on the lights, and it was stopped, suspended in the sky. In the photographs you can see that the object seemed as if it was posing for Mr. Raúl, something that few times has happened. But this would bring consequences for Raúl Domínguez, who after such an extraordinary experience had his health affected, maybe by finding himself so close to the electromagnetic field produced by the object. Yes, I had breakfast as usual, and then I had diarrhea for various days, and later I vomited a lot of bile. It was the impression, and as a result of this I got vitiligo. Also, another photograph of the UFO of Ocotlan exists. This one would have been obtained by Alejandro Bacle Garcia, in company with Jaime Hermosillo, riding their bikes on the newly opened highway Mexico-Guadalajara. At the height of the population of Ocotlan, they could see the object, being found around 300 meters from the road. According to the testimony of the witnesses, it seemed as if it were falling, presenting a swaying movement. Its color was brilliant and intense. It measured around 25 meters in diameter, and it emitted a sound similar to the one made by bees. Alejandro Bacle managed to take at least 5 pictures of the object that, if we compare them with the images of Raúl Domínguez, we can establish that it is the same device. The photographs of Raúl Domínguez to this moment continue to be maybe the best in the world, and they show an unidentified flying object that was seen for a long while here in Ocotlan. Well, so you've seen in these 2 videos the explanations that this man gives. That also is a friend of the person that I quoted before with his experience. He precisely told me also that when they were in that car looking at the UFO, it seemed as if the UFO was posing for them so that they could take the pictures. It's curious, right? It seems that it's not something very frequent, but what things, right? We don't know until what point this UFO is of human technology, or is it a matter that goes much further than the human being. We don't know if these things happen because humans are preparing something also, or because Satan is still manifesting in some moments with his fallen angels doing things. Be that as it may, take a look at this other video, which is of the best investigator of abductions. It's a video that lasts more than an hour. We will only show, I don't know if it's about 20 minutes, approximately, basically the end of this video, and you will see what this man explains. This man was an investigator of the UFO matter, and he ended up being the president of a very important association, if I remember properly, in the United States, where these issues are discussed and these things were debated about. He was in contact logically with other investigators of the UFO area, and he that had been a Christian and then abandoned the faith, we are going to see how he returned to be a Christian. And you are going to see what this person explains. It does not have anything to waste. Now you are going to understand definitely how the UFO issue is related not only with technology that mankind can have influenced by Satan for many years now, but also directly with what you are already thinking that it can be. And they are not precisely little Martians, but they are beings that are not from this world. Let's see this video, and I ask you, please do not miss a detail. And if you want to see it all later, you will find it on YouTube. Let's get to it.
We came across a particular video we had done 6 months before we came to the truth. We had videoed this person in his home. We had sat there right in front of him, listening to him, watched him, never heard a word he said. The video caught it, though. It's interesting. Went back and played this particular video, and this is what we found. What follows is the case of Bill Dee's experience that took place in Christmas, Florida in 1976. His abduction started out typically late at night in bed. Earlier in the evening, he saw some anomalous lights through the living room window over a forest north of his house. He assumed it was a police helicopter searching for drug runners or something. Whatever it was, it agitated his dogs for several hours thereafter. He eventually went to bed. He was lying in bed, kept wide awake by the barking dogs when paralysis set in. He was unable to cry out. He could see nothing but a whitish gray, like a mist or a fog, although he sensed someone or something was in his room. His wife didn't awaken. The next thing he knew, he was being levitated above his bed. He then had the sensation he was being suspended by what felt like a pole inserted into his rectum. By this time, he was alive with terror, but couldn't scream. Here's where the story becomes very interesting. The following is an excerpt taken directly from the transcript of Mr. Dee's interview. I thought I was having a satanic experience, that the devil had gotten a hold of me and had shoved a pole up my rectum and was holding me up in the air. So helpless, I couldn't do anything. I said, Jesus, Jesus, help me, or Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. When I did, there was a feeling or a sound or something that either my words that I had thought or the words that I had tried to say or whatever had hurt whatever was holding me up in the air on this pole. And I felt like it was withdrawn, and I fell. I hit the bed because it was like I was thrown back in the bed. I really can't tell, but when I did, my wife woke up and asked why I was jumping on the bed. Typical type of experience. I hear this many times, same scenarios. In all the research we had done, we had never heard of a case of anybody stopping an experience. All the researchers, the top researchers, were saying that this could not be done. You couldn't stop an abduction experience. They had no record of it. So here I am with a case where a guy says he called out in the name of Jesus and stopped an experience. Was this one case unusual? But I knew I had something powerful. When God showed me to go back and look at this video, I knew this was something unique. And if I could confirm that it wasn't just unique in that one case, then this could be absolutely huge in the UFO community. I contacted these top researchers in the country. I said, guys, I've got a case here. I don't know what to make of it. I shared them the case. Each time I did, they asked, can we go off the record? And I said, sure. I can't tell you their names, but I can tell you what they said. Each one of them said, yes, sir, we've come across cases like this ourselves, where they've been able to stop it using prayer or Jesus' name. I said, excuse me, how come we have never seen this documented? You're telling us otherwise, that it can't be done, it can't be stopped. First answer they usually gave us, we didn't know what to make of it. I would have been fine with that. The second answer is what puzzled me and got me kind of angry. Because it was that one that I want you to hear for sure. They said we couldn't go there because it might affect our credibility in the realm. Do I hear cover up? Did I mention government? No, I didn't. What I'm telling you is there's a cover up about disinformation, and has been, by the top researchers that you people rely on to hear the truth from. I said to them, you know guys, I got nothing to lose. I work for a living, I don't write books, I don't do all this stuff that you do. I said, I just want to document this as a researcher. So I went after those cases because I now knew they were there. Over the next 10 years, I have now worked with over 400 cases of people that have been able to stop the abduction experience in the name and authority of Jesus Christ. This is documented evidence. Okay? Documented evidence. I questioned, I had to show biblically if this was relating to the Bible, where did the authority come from? Back to Ephesians. At the end of Ephesians, in that chapter, talking about spiritual warfare, after putting on the whole armor of God, which is defense, protection, these people were showing that there was an offensive move. An offensive move. You can be in defense with protection, but to defeat the enemy, these entities, you have to do something offensive. Ephesians 6:19, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly. That's what these people have done in the presence of these entities, to make known the mystery of the gospel. What's that mystery? This is where the authority comes, that they're able to stop these entities, because it's Christ in you. That power was passed down from God to the Son, Father to the Son, over everything above the earth, on the earth, and below the earth. When you become a Christian, give yourself to Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, the indwelling of the Holy Spirit passes that authority on to you. Talk about high technology from planets from who knows where. I don't think this is what we're dealing with. And all this supposed high technology that they seem to have, guess what? It takes only one name to put them in their place. We are dealing with a huge, probably the most important deception on humanity. These are entities masquerading as high technological aliens, but they can be defeated by one name. I have case upon case upon case upon case that can prove that. Different causes for the experience, they're still questioning this. Researchers don't know where this comes from. Where does the experience come from? We found answers to this working with these testimonies. First one, you asked for it. Think people ask for this? Excuse me, we stand at the tables at these conventions and share our information with people. I've had people come right up to me and say, I'd sure like to experience that. Be careful what you ask for. Some people unknowingly open a door to the experience by being involved in New Age or occult activities. When you engage in the unknown things outside of God, the Creator and His Word, you make yourself vulnerable to these entities. We have found this reason to be most often the root cause. And then there are also people that fall into the generational cycle. You saw the generational cycle working right there with Joyce and her family. This can continue through generations. These are the things we found. My website, ce4research.com, I've got over 75 of the testimonies up on there as evidence for you, free to go see and read what these people have been through. Read that they have been set free by the name and authority of Jesus Christ from this experience. You seeing a spiritual connection here? Absolutely. I've even have audio testimonies that we're posting up there now. You can hear them do it in their own voice. Not just a written testimony. I've had researchers say, you printed that up and stuck it up there. No. They're furious about having this information out there, the rest of the UFO community. They are absolutely furious. You saw my little poster out on the table, Most Hated Man in Ufology. Last year, I was a director for the city of the UFO conference, 2008, for Roswell. I invited some of the top researchers in the country, in the world actually, to come here and talk and give their information. But I also got to talk on the last day. And when I shared this information, they were absolutely furious. And they have been furious ever since. There's blogs upon blogs going out there. I am now the most hated man in ufology. Okay? Because I dared share something that they couldn't. Those people that I talked to before, those researchers, they've never come against me. The ones that I didn't talk to, oh boy. You should hear the things they say. Moving on. This is an example of how we take people through and help them. This is our counseling side of it. The 8 R's. This will be on the video for you guys to see. I'm not going to take too much time and go through them, but we take them through, we help them recognize what they're doing, we help them take responsibility for what they're now recognizing, what they've been involved with, repenting to God for being involved with it, renouncing it, getting rid of everything, or making it your enemy, removing it, resisting it if it tries to come back, because you're going to piss these entities off and they're going to try to harass you for a while, okay? Which does happen. Rejoice, give God thanks for setting you free, and the completion of helping someone become free of all of this is restore. Help someone else get free. And that's where the testimonies come in. Post these testimonies, you're helping somebody else. I'm getting emails after emails after emails of new ones coming in all the time. How many cases does it take for the world to see that what I'm sharing with you today is real? How many cases? They're going to continue to come in. I'm going to continue to share this. We've been looking for an ET message for years and years and years. Guess what? The world seems to have missed the one most important ET message we've had for 2,000 years. This enemy that we're dealing with today, masquerading as angels, does not want you to have this message. They're doing everything they can to deceive us from having this message. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. This is the extraterrestrial message that's been missed. This is the one they don't want you to see. They're replacing it with their own, and it's a lie. You got questions? Go straight to the source. Don't talk to these entities. This scripture right here says you got questions that you don't know the answers to. You got a direct connection to the creator of the universe. Call unto me, God himself. I will answer thee and show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. But yet there's people who are channelers that are dealing with entities that have no name, or they can't even verify who they are. They open themselves up to. You don't open a door to people you don't know who they are. You question them first. It's not happening in that realm, the New Age metaphysical realm. You have a direct connection to God himself. Okay? You know what? I can sit up here and talk to you guys and say, trust me. What I'm telling you is the truth. Do any of you really know me? Nope. So, what I'm going to say, do not trust me. Do not take my word for this, because you can trust no man. Do not trust me. I want you to trust the evidence. Okay? The real evidence. Where's the evidence? On that website? The testimonies that are there? Can I do you one better? Would you like to see the evidence right now? Joyce Ahrens. You hear that name before? I had an opportunity to meet this lady a few years back. She had left her family. This is Joyce from the video. She left her family. She could no longer be part of all of that. But she was still searching for answers. She ended up in Florida, in my neighborhood. Imagine that. She interrupts my favorite TV show, happened to be the last episode of X-Files. I was pissed. Calls me on the phone. I'm going, I got to take this. So luckily I had the recorder on, watch it later. And she wants to tell me she saw my name in the paper that day because they had an article that they did because I was MUFON and it was about the last show of X-Files. So she saw my name, called me on the phone, says, I want to talk to you. I'm an abduction experiencer, blah, blah, blah. She was all excited about being an experiencer. Well, after about 45 minutes of talking to her, I was catching in her voice, you know, she ain't real happy. So I set up to meet with her. I said, I'd like to talk some more with you. So we set up an appointment to meet at this little restaurant, and we met, and I started sharing with her what I had. And you know what? She freaked. I got to go. And away she went, out the door. I thought, well, that's that. I won't see Joyce again. But you know what? I did see Joyce again. You want to talk?
I'll try. You have to forgive me, I'm a little nervous in front of crowds, okay?
I got it.
Okay, thank you. He's right, I didn't trust him because I was devout atheist. So I didn't believe in God. Didn't want to have any part of that. I did tell Joe that I would read the testimonies that he gave me. I do try and keep my word. Whenever I give my word, I do try and keep it. So I took the testimonies and I left, and on my way home, I stopped at a red light. And I got my first vision. In my vision that I received was a beautiful picture of the world looking from outside it. And then around it were a couple of hands with very long claws, nails, and a face that started to peer from behind it was absolutely hideous. And I knew right then that what he told me was true. I still didn't want to believe that, but I knew. And I knew the powers that I had been dealing with. And I knew I was in deep trouble.
Let me go from here.
I think I'm okay.
About a week later, Joyce calls me and says, I want what you have. I had the opportunity of leading Joyce to Jesus Christ in my living room. I got her located with my church and my fellowship. We brought her up in the Word. She's become a very powerful warrior. Years and years this video has been running. Every year it runs, sometimes a couple a year. But you know what? They don't show the end of the story. You're looking at the end of the story. This lady has been healed, no more experiences. She's back with her family, working with them. This is the evidence right here. Last year when I did this conference down here at the Pearson, I brought the living evidence up on that stage. Not one researcher would talk to these people because they knew if they did, they'd have to deal with it. Instead, they come after and attack us as being Christians. I haven't said anything about preaching Christianity. I'm here to show you evidence that I have come across, and you need to look at the evidence. If it leads you to dealing with Christianity, so be it. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to show you the most powerful evidence in the UFO realm for the entities we are working with. And it's an unwanted piece of that puzzle. Absolutely unwanted. You know what? I brought you one piece of the evidence. How about some more? Guy Malone. Guy's living testimony. He put his book on the internet where you can read it, called Come Sail Away. Living testimony to the name and authority of Jesus Christ over these alien entities. Nicole, Guy's wife, she has dealt with these entities. She has overcome them through the name and authority of Jesus Christ. Jackie has dealt with these entities. She can also testify to the name and authority above them. How much more evidence do you need? I got some more. Janet, you out there? Come on up. Janet's from West Virginia. Guy and Nicole are from Roswell. Joyce is from Missouri. Jackie's from here in Roswell. Thank you. Can testify to the name and authority of Jesus Christ over these entities affecting her life. Kevin, you out there? Come on up. Kevin's from Utah. He can testify to the name and authority of Jesus Christ over these entities. Ken, you out there? Come on up. Ken's from Vancouver, Washington. Ken can testify to the name and authority of Jesus Christ. This isn't fuzzy pictures. This isn't fuzzy videos. This is real evidence that you can question, you can touch. And I challenge you to do that, because every time I've done this talk and brought the living testimonies up here, nobody questions them. They're afraid to, because if you do, it's going to change your life. That's why I put that warning up there in the beginning. Okay? This is the evidence. It's here. How much does it take for you to understand what this is? CE4 website, for those of you that want to go and see more. It's called The Unwanted Piece of the Puzzle, and it'll take you through steps to see all of that. I also post the warning when you come to my site. But we're looking for counselors to help. Over 5 million people have estimated to gone through this experience in this country alone. I can't help them all. I need help. We need counselors to help these people. Okay? This is a mission field with millions that need to be helped. We need you in the church to come on and recognize these people are hurting and give them a place of comfort and covering so that they can be helped through this experience. V2, you might have seen these stickers around. V2 is out of Washington State. They've been around longer than we have in this ministry. That sticker, they gave us the opportunity to use that sticker for Alien Resistance, and we've used it for years. It's part of helping get the word out. Okay? This picture here, it's taken as a off the no alien symbol, but it also tells you these are the entities from the same garden, the same lie from the beginning. They're still telling that same old lie. They're just in a different guise. You know, I hope you've seen something that will make you really question what's going on here. You know, there's two sides to a coin. You've been seeing one side for years. Guess what? You just had the opportunity to see what's on the back side of that coin. Now you can make an honest decision on what this phenomenon is about. You can't if you only see one side. You've just had the opportunity to see both sides. And I hope now you'll understand more about what this is about. The evidence, the most powerful evidence in the UFO community is right here in front of you. Question these people. Let them prove to you that this is real. In closing, I'd like to say Joyce has got one more thing to say.
It's really hard for me to watch that video, but I'm very glad it plays, because I had a woman call me a couple years ago because she saw that video. She looked my name up and called me, and I have talked with her. She is one of God's warriors now. It's awesome. So as long as that plays, I know that it's actually going to help someone, even though I can't stand to watch it myself. I know that it has the power. He's doing it. He'll bring them. I know it. So I guess in a way I'm really glad that's still playing.
Before I close with the final words, if you are out there right now dealing with this experience and you're still searching for the answer, I hope you have that answer now. At least you've been able to make a decision, an honest decision, by seeing both sides. We're offering that opportunity right now for you to be set free. We have some of the most powerful counselors in this field right here today. Do not leave this city. Do not leave this building without being set free from this experience. You walk away from here, you're still in the power of the enemy. You can be set free right now. Don't walk away from here in bondage by these entities. You have what it takes to be set free right now. And we offer you that. Please see us when we're done with this talk. We have counselors that we can talk to you. This could be the most memorable souvenir you could ever take away from Roswell, to be finally set free from the hold of these entities. In final closing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Lord God, King and ruler of the universe. And I thank you all.
You've seen that this man, a spectacular abduction investigator, is being totally crushed by those that before were his work colleagues, and that since he wanted to say things just as they were, and he is showing what happens with those abductions of people that is absorbed to these flying saucers and have experience, etc., with these entities, he has wanted to prove that there are people that have denied to be absorbed in that way. And in the name of Jesus, with prayer, they have been able to stop this. If they were extraterrestrials, people coming from other planets with the shape that they could have, and wanted to take people with them, why does everything stop in the name of Jesus? Where is the logic to all of this? This man tells this, and at the end, he quotes the text where precisely it is seen that the power of the devil is in many things, and that you have to face it in the name of Jesus. The powers of darkness are acting and captivating the whole world through the UFO phenomenon. That is why now you will understand our friend from Mexico by seeing those experiences. His contact with God had to be intimate. He asked for it. He was praying in those moments because he perceived something wrong and bad was there. Now, you can see that this is a shame. I recommend you to see the whole video, but it is a shame that from so many media and so many books that are being written on the topic, the truth is not being told on what is truly behind the UFO phenomenon. We have seen that on one side there can be human technology inspired by Satan, but on the other hand, we can realize, and you've seen what kind of cases with such experiences of people that had been abducted, what happened to them, what sensations, and precisely with prayer in the name of Jesus, it all ends. You know, when these people explain that, when they say that they cannot move and they cannot do anything but prayer, it reminds me when I explained the experience that I had with demonic entities when I was going to be baptized as one of the members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Similar things happened to me, very similar to these. So I have no other option than to relate one thing with the other because the phenomenon is practically the same. So therefore, Satan is moving to deceive people with the UFOs, using things that truly are not just a mirage, but that are truly the things that they use. And that we will see also in the next conference, that evidently they do not invent anything. As you can see, they always lie to man, but imitating the things of God and giving it the precise twist to turn away the people from the correct road. We have seen how God uses and his angels technology to travel even. We are going to see more quotes on this in the text as well. Satan does not only move around walking on the street. He moves in some way, and his angels as well, and he's using all of this to confuse people and prepare them for the returning of Jesus, but not for the true one, but for Satan simulating to be Jesus. We are going to see great things. Let's prepare ourselves because we are being mentalized in movies, in books, in series, that something is going to happen. Therefore, let's be prepared. But now I'll tell you, this is not the last that we are going to see in this series of conferences about dimensional gates, and also you've seen that we've included the UFO topic. Now the definite conclusion is coming close, and the relationship and the reminder of how we have been able to reach these conclusions, and what is Satan waiting to do, basically referring to the dimensional gates. There is an objective. In the next conference, if it is God's will, it will be the last one. I hope so. I already thought that on the third one and we're still here. Let's hope to be able to prove finally and get to the conclusions that truly will get us to understand now. And I think that after what you've seen, you'll never be able to read the biblical texts in the same manner, the gates to heaven, and that divine technology. Well, I would simply like to thank you for having so much patience in these so many hours once more, and I would like to leave you remembering that precisely on next Friday you have an event at 5 in the afternoon in the Palau de Firas of Girona, and we'll try to do that conference also streaming live so that more people can start to ask themselves things to be able to know truly God in such a deliberately atheist society that we live in. And precisely, we will be in an environment much related with what here has been exposed, but completely on the opposite side. Not on the side of God, but of the beliefs on the contrary. Well, prayer for this event, please, so God can guide us and direct us, so we can be a light for many. And also I refer you now to what I hope to be the last conference, which would be the 6th on Dimensional Gates, that is worth it for you not to miss. Thank you very much for your attention, and may God bless you.